Would you believe me if I said you could write a book in 100 days? That seems crazy, right? Well, writing coach and literary agent Sarah Bullen says it's possible, and with her help, you can be on your way to becoming a published author. She joins me live now to tell us more about her mentorship project. Sarah, very good morning to you. It seems incredible, doesn't it? Why 100 days?
Jane, realistically, it does take a little bit longer, but we have devised a program where we really push authors to get their first draft done, and that really is the hardest part of writing a book. It's to download the initial information you want to put down on paper. So we really, my business partner and I who run mentorships, we say, let's get the first bit done really hard, really fast, because then there's more work to be done. And we're only going to tell you what that work is when you've actually completed the bulk of the writing.
All right, you say getting the ideas down is the hardest bit. I mean, ever since when I first went off to the Middle East, this is now like 15 years ago, I was going to write a book, obviously. Still, it hasn't even started, not even one word on the page. How do you make that first move?
You know, that's the biggest thing, that when we have this dream of being a writer, and I always say that waiting for the muse does not work. If you have it in your heart to write a book, to be published, to share your story, whatever that story may be, you have to actually dedicate time and discipline to it. And it is not talent that has much to do with being a published author or even a best-selling author. It is actually, Jane, it's discipline and persistence. And that is the hard thing to get your head around. Because we think there's some sort of creativity that we download and it just happens, but it doesn't work like that. How do you get a book written? You make time in your diary. You block book writing time. So I like personally to book out all day every Friday. That's my writing time. Other people do different things. I also like to encourage writers to book like a full week to immerse in a writing project. So it's really about two things. It's about knowing you want to do it. And then it's about just making it happen, and simple things like diary dates with yourself. And deadlines. You know, as a journalist, I was a journalist for many years. Unless you have a deadline, things don't really happen, because then it's next year, and then it's a year after, and then it's 10 years later, and that book hasn't happened. So it's,
and is there, I mean, I'm a last minute kind of person. You know, when I studied for exams, I'm, cram, and that's probably what makes this job quite interesting and easy to do, that you can absorb things very, very quickly. But is there a way of focusing your brain? I mean, do you have to work according to, say, for example, a mind map, or are there those sort of tricks in getting the book done?
Absolutely. So I am an absolute believer in structure and knowing your reader and knowing what to deliver. And that's one of the biggest things, is understanding that books are sold and bought by genre, and readers have expectations. And as an author, understanding what a reader wants out of your book. And once you've really got your head around that you're writing for other people and not really for yourself, it's then about having a structure. And on the most basic level, in a non-fictional memoir, it's your table of contents, right? You absolutely have to have a list of what information is going in the book. I like to call them content buckets, and where you're going to put it. And it's also about grouping the right information in the right place, because otherwise it's like this massive, paella, where there's shrimps and there's rice and there's chicken, and we don't want that in a book. We want the author to do the work, to really segment the information, to present it in a logical and readable way, and to be a little bit entertaining in the process, right? Because you don't want to read a book that's going to put you to sleep.
No, unless you have sleep issues. But Sarah, I should imagine that it's satisfying writing a book. Tell us how it makes you feel once you've completed the process and see your name on a book.
Well, I mean, Jane, writing a book and having a published book can be a complete and utter game changer. So I wrote my first book in 2003, which was a very confessional nonfiction about having children. I've subsequently written 12 books, mostly ghost-written. But some of my authors, Gabby Lowe, she wrote Get Me to 21 about her daughter's battle against a rare lung disease. Standing up in front of people, holding a book that shares a story is a life changer. My other author, Costa Karastavarakis, he wrote looking at it from myths to marathons. You know, it's standing up, sharing your story of addiction, your story of loss, your story of grief, your story of joy. Our recent author, Zoe Schultz, has got her book in the bookstores, and that is Running in Heels. And that is about her journey from being in ICU to running ultra marathons. And, you know, it's a simple story, but sharing it in such a specific format of a book, because a book's a big deal. It's not a little thing. It's not like you're writing a blog. It's a long and dedicated process to get a book out there. It's a game changer. It means speaking engagements. It means being invited to share your story in various platforms, in media, and reaching just a bigger and a global audience. And I found that consistently with my authors across the board. It just shifts their career and their lives into a very different space.
Sarah, so good to talk to you. Enjoying your book, by the way. Thanks very much for that.